Welcome, welcome, you guys. My name is Denise Walsh, clinical psychologist turned dream life coach. And today you are going to hear from a client who participated in the last round of 90 Day U-Turn. And basically, everything changed for her. Now, I have to have her on because I can say that, like, oh my gosh, so much can change in 90 days if you let it. But sometimes people go, well, what does that mean? And could that really happen for me? And tell me more. So I brought Michelle on to share with us a little bit about her story because as you'll hear, like everything changed in just 12 weeks. So, Michelle, welcome. Thank you so
Hi.
much for popping on with us today. So, before we dive into what life looks now, I'd love to hear a bit more about why you said yes 12 weeks ago to hop in to the 90-day U-Turn.
I guess I was just kind of at a point in my life where I was stuck. My kids had graduated. I was a stay-at-home mom, and my life just revolved around that. And I knew there was more, but I felt stuck. Um, so I had kind of gone back and forth about what I wanted to do, and I just decided that I needed to do something for me, and that was huge.
Yeah.
So I said yes.
So, this was a place for you to kind of find yourself again. Like,
Yes.
who am I now that my kids are grown? I was a stay-at-home mom. I now have time back potentially, but what do I do with it? And who do I want to be in this next phase of my life?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so you said something else. You said you decided to do something for you. Why was that such a big deal?
Because all of my life, I have always been there for everybody else, doing stuff, raising the kids, there for my husband. It's small blips in life that I was just me. And I got to the point where I needed something bigger. I knew there's more out there. And I lost my spark. I really did. It was kind of buried. I knew it was still there because I would feel it. I would feel it, but it it just wasn't coming up to the surface as much as I wanted it to be.
Yeah, you needed to clear some cobwebs, create some space, and ask
Yes.
yourself questions that we just don't ask ourselves in normal everyday life.
It, absolutely.
Okay, so you jumped in. You were saying yes to yourself, like, all right, who do I want to be? Let's kind of figure this out. And I'd love to hear like what stood out to you as being the highlights of the so let's first talk about the program and then we'll talk about how life changed.
Okay. So I guess um
Did you have a
it
favorite
was
week
it
or
was
exercise?
really, what was that?
Did you have a favorite week or exercise?
No, they kind of all really rolled together from the beginning to the end. There was not something that I went, that was here nor there. It built on each other every week. And I guess the biggest part for me was being able to start from the beginning and change the way I looked at everything in life. And that was huge, from every aspect of my life, to be able to go back and change the maybe not so positive ways I looked at things. And that alone has changed my entire outlook.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. The weeks compound. It's like they're
Yeah,
standalone, but yet they layer and they compound. And so as the weeks went on, it sounds like you started to feel lighter. You started to have
absolutely.
that spark come back and you started to see your world differently.
Yes, absolutely. Um, and some of it was rather hard, looking back at different things in my life. I mean, there was a lot of soul searching going through the program, and going, it's time to let that go. And it's okay to let it go.
Mhm. And we had exercises to help you do that. I
Yes.
think sometimes people have come in and they're like, I knew I needed to like heal, or I needed to forgive, or I needed to like, I knew that, but I didn't know how to actually do it. And so we take you through some of those exercises to help with what we call those onion layers that have been holding us back for a while. And it sounds like you shed some onion layers over the 12 weeks.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And it was I feel lighter. And it was kind of, and I guess I can say this because I walked into an appointment today and she looked at me and she goes, you look different. What's changed? And that really resonated with me. So the whole thing, in the way I carry myself, the way I look at everything, and I like the idea of I found the new normal.
Yeah.
I'm not falling back into that old way of thinking. It happens. I've, our days haven't changed. We're just still doing the same thing. But the way I look at it has.
Yeah. And then if you do kind of snap back to that old pattern, you know how to get yourself back out. So you're not
Yeah.
living there anymore.
No, no.
That's amazing. So do you think, what was your favorite? Like the training, the PDF workbook, or the community like meetings that we did, or
I
the
really, I really did enjoy meeting every week with everybody and being able to say it out loud.
yeah.
That was huge.
Yeah.
Because I've done journaling, I've done different things like that. And I'm not saying the workbook part really, you have to be honest with yourself doing it though,
Yeah.
because that's when you get a lot more out of it.
Yeah.
Um, and I did. I spent days doing some of the stuff, and some of it I couldn't do, and I'd have to walk away, and I would come back to it.
Good for you.
And I'm like, no, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. But then being able to say it out loud and talk with everybody, I guess had a really big impact that I didn't realize was a missing factor to it all.
Yeah. Healing happens there because when you speak, it vibrates throughout your entire body. And like that's when things can be released and you don't even it's not like you're like, oh my gosh, I'm better now. It's like you go along and you go, I'm not spiraling. Oh, this would have upset me for days before, and now I quickly moved past it. Or this hard thing came up, but I feel like that's the shift that we start to see is when we realize that wait, I'm not stuck anymore, and I was ruminating on that for years, or whatever the case may be. So, what would you say tangibly shifted
What was
in
that?
what tangibly shifted in your life after or throughout the last 12 weeks?
Well, I guess one of the big things is I found my confidence and got a part-time job. Um, and I look at it totally differently now than I did before. It was overwhelming. It was more of a chore. And now that I look at everything so differently, I enjoy it. I'm
Yeah.
content, and
Yeah.
it's yeah,
That's awesome. You
kind
found
of
your
walking on sunshine, really. And there hasn't been, I'm not saying there's no bad days because there are and there have been, but and I found myself going, you know what? I'm going to drink my water right now because I have formed those new habits that are my new normal.
Yeah. Yeah. You are. Yeah, exactly. So when an upset comes, you move right through it. It doesn't derail you. So you found your confidence, you got a part-time job. I know for a few weeks your goal was to kind of organize your house and get things back in order. And so tell me a bit about that experience.
It's a slow process because there is so much, but I can find my focus and I can find writing it down and making it, this is what I'm doing today, and putting it on the calendar. Um, that's changed my outlook with it too.
Yeah.
So like even that little stuff, because before looking at this, I would know that I've got a million things to do today. So then I'd wake up in the morning going, all right, where do I start? And I'd find that I kind of wasted my day because I didn't know where to start. But writing it down and having the plan and making it all habit has changed it.
And it feels good to check things off your list. And that builds confidence too. And now kind of you're living in a space that feels more comfortable, or you're, it's beautiful, and it kind of starts to compound, doesn't it? So tell me about one last thing. Tell me about your experience with your support coach, because everyone gets paired up with a support coach that they get to meet with to talk through the content even further. How supportive was that for you?
That was amazing. It really was. Even when you didn't want to talk about different things, the way that, all right, we're not really talking about it, but we're asking questions, it was enough to make me think and go back, be like, okay, well, I could do it differently. I could look at it differently. And it was enough to kind of push me in the right direction. And sometimes when you're going through things, it was also, well, I don't like that word in a way that the way that it was said, but if we looked at it differently, used different words, then it was actually more manageable and not so terrifying for me
Yeah.
to look at it that way. And being able to talk with her about different things actually brought me more peace, to be honest.
Yeah. I think the support coaches, number one, it's powerful for them to like actually get to work with people. But number two, it provides accountability. It provides a place for you to process through either daily like life that's happening, or stay focused on your goals, or even like weekly content a little bit deeper. And I know you had some life happen, some kind of chaos happen throughout the 12 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And so to have that support throughout hopefully was really supportive.
Yes, yes, it was. And that really is my life, where it's just, oh, okay, we're going this way. And usually that's enough to kind of shake me and put me back into a different mindset. Whereas I really do. I look at it differently and going, oh, okay, we can do it this way. And I'll grab my water on the way.
Look at you. So has your family noticed this shift in you? What have they said?
Yes, they have. They've noticed, and they're just kind of speechless. I want to go
Yeah.
with speechless. Um, they don't really know how to handle me right now because it's a little different. I'm not sweating the small stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had
Um,
I met with a girl this past week whose sister did 90-day U-turn, and she's like, "Denise, I got my sister back." And I thought that's it. Like they got their mom back, not a worry, chaotic, stressed ball. They got their mom, and they're gonna. My guess is that they'll fall in love. Getting to know her, getting to know the new Michelle.
oh yes, oh yes. But it's nice because I've had time with each of my kids and my husband, and um, I've just kind of focused on my relationship with each of them,
Uh-huh.
and it's a good thing. All in a different light. We're not focusing on the negative, and I see that it actually has a change with maybe my daughter a little bit and the way she looks at things, and my husband and my son. So when you're the stability of it all, that's a lot.
Yeah. That's something, just, they always say put your own face mask on, right? The oxygen mask before you take care of everyone else. And you're a great example of that. When you are your best you get to support them better. And they are learning the skills vicariously through you because
Yes.
of who you be now. You are being someone who is goal focused, future focused, growth focused, rather than, victim or chaos or anything else. Right. And so because of who you be, that ripple effects and impacts
Hmm.
them amazingly. That's awesome. So what would you say to somebody who has been thinking about starting with 90-day U-turn, or maybe they're brewing the idea of stepping in as a coach and learning this content? What would you say to them?
It's totally worth it. Do it for yourself.
Absolutely. And like, it's not 3 months and you're done. Like, you now have skills. that are going to take you in a new direction, right?
And it went fast. It really did. When you sit there and look at it and you're like, where did it all go? And I will admit that I was sad when it was over because I really came to enjoy those weekly meetings with everybody and to
Yeah.
be able to talk about the stuff and, how your week went and what your wins were. And trying to incorporate that into my own life and my own family is kind of interesting too.
Awesome, awesome. Well, the doors to the next round of 90-Day U-Turn are currently open. They do close next week because we start September 25th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll be meeting Wednesdays for the next 12 weeks starting September 25th. And I think, if you're somebody who's stuck or you are at this place where you're like, all right, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm ready for my next step, but I don't really know what that is and I don't really know how to get there. This is for you. Like, this program as a clinical psychologist turned dream life coach is a pathway and a roadmap for you to light your spark, get unstuck, gain some clarity, and learn these skills so you're not as derailed on the journey. And so, Michelle, thank you so much for sharing
Thank
your
you.
story today. And I have loved getting to know you over the past 12 weeks. I'm proud of your effort for showing up and doing it well. You're intentional, and I think that shows in the results that you got. So thank you so much, you guys. And if you're interested in getting started with us, go to 90dayuturn.com. I'll put the link in the description in the comments, and we look forward to working with you too. All right. Have a great afternoon. Talk soon.